Hello friends, welcome back to Dnyanadeep Academy's UPSC Answer Writing program. Today we are going to discuss a question on environment. This question is from UPSC Mains 2023. The question is, IPCC has predicted a global sea level rise of about 1 meter by 2100 AD. What would be its impact in India and the other countries in the Indian Ocean region? So as usual, we'll start first with understanding what is the focus and what is the locus of this question. The focus here in this question is the second part of the question. What would be the impact in India? What would be the impact in India and other countries in the Indian Ocean region? Now, there's a trap or a catch here that you need to understand. You'll also have to write what happens in the Indian Ocean region. The question is not only about India. So most people here will focus on what is happening in India, but remember, the question is asking you India as well as what's going to happen in the Indian Ocean region. Okay, so this is the focus of the question, and the first part, that is IPCC predicting a global sea level rise by 1 meter by 2100 is the locus of the question. Okay, so not much need to be written about this part of the question. Okay, now going to the introduction, how should we introduce this question? Most of the time, the question here is directly about what the IPCC has said. Now, when IPCC says this, there has to be some report. So, if you know why the question comes, if you know the current behind this question, current affairs, then this will help you, be more clear about the question. So, there was one report in 2019 which was released by IPCC. The name of the report is Special Report on the Ocean and Cryosphere in a Changing Climate. This was the report in 2019. So in this report, the IPCC for the first time had said that sea level rise would rise by 1 meter. And then you can again link it to what is happening recently by saying that this has been also corroborated by the 6th assessment report of the IPCC. So this 6th assessment report that was released in 2022 also is a very important part. That report also says the same thing, that yes, there will be a sea level rise of 1 meter by 2100. Okay, then you can say why there is global mean sea level rise. So the reasons, it is because of the melting of ice sheets in the polar regions and high mountains, and because of the thermal expansion of water due to the global warming. So this, you address the question properly, you show the examiner that you also know why in the first place this question has been asked. Okay, and you're also explaining why there is sea level rise. So this is how you should introduce the question. Now, what can you write in the body? Straight away, you can write what impacts it would have on India and the Indian Ocean region. So here, make it a point to give examples not only from India, but also from the complete region, Indian Ocean region. So what would be the impacts? First, obviously, there will be enhanced coastal erosion because of the rising sea level. So you can here give example about low-lying areas in Bangladesh also, or coastal regions in India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia as well. Then chronic flooding in the low-lying areas. So same, this applies again to Indonesia. There will be chronic sea flooding, coastal flooding because of sea level rise. The submergence of low-lying areas or coastal areas and atolls and islands. Then here you can say Maldives is one example. Mumbai also in future will face this problem. Some parts of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So this way you are trying to also bring into picture the Indian Ocean region. If you're focusing only on India, you're missing the picture here. So you may not get marks for this. Increase in frequency of extreme weather events like tropical cyclones and destruction of life and property. Here again, in example, you can say how the cyclones in Bay of Bengal are on the rise. Number of cyclones that we see in Bay of Bengal has been rising in the recent years. We have seen 5 to 6 cyclones, severe cyclones coming in the Bay of Bengal. So there are some other points. Then there is salination of groundwater aquifers and wetlands, which will lead to crisis of fresh water in the coastal regions because there will be mixing of marine water and the fresh water. Loss and change of coastal ecosystems and resulting ecosystem services. This is also one scenario. This is all again applicable to all the countries in the Indian Ocean region. There are also some social and economic aspects you should focus on. The first of which is the refugee crisis. This can be a issue, refugee crisis, okay, because of especially the island countries will have a serious issue. Or you can also say shifting of Indonesia's capital from Jakarta is one example of it. The damaging of coastal infrastructure and ports leading to wider economic consequences. Okay, so this is economic consequences, what will happen because of the rising sea level. Social conflict due to lesser availability of land. Because of rising sea level, the availability of land in coastal areas is going to go down. So this will be another social and economic problem arising out of sea level rise. Then focusing on the eastern side of the Indian Ocean region, East African coast, the nations along the East African coast, that is Kenya and Tanzania and Somalia, may experience coastal erosion, flooding, and damage to critical infrastructure. Why this is a big issue? Because this region is already inflicted by, or is already facing terrorism, instability because of terrorism. So rising sea level will only add fuel to the fire, and we'll see problems becoming more severe or grave in this part of Indian Ocean region. So this is how you write the body for this question. Now, when you conclude the question here is about rising sea level. So when you're concluding the answer, you should be offering some solutions as to what India and the countries in the Indian Ocean region can do to deal with this rising sea level. Obviously, it is in no country's hand to stop it altogether, but yes, there are some ways of how we can deal with this. Okay, so I've put in a lot of points. You can take some of these and use in the conclusion. What are these? The first, the predicted rising sea level presents a significant challenge for India and other countries in the Indian Ocean region. Yes, obviously. It requires an urgent action at both national and international level, because the question here asks us about impacts in Indian Ocean region. This is a scenario when nationally and internationally also the policies will have to be coordinated for mitigation and adaptation for the impacts of sea level rise. Now, this includes what? What mitigating and adaptation measures can be undertaken? The first is resilient infrastructure, because we see there will be loss, social and economic impact as well. So resilient infrastructure, adopting sustainable agricultural practices, developing comprehensive disaster management plans. This is also important because there will be some disasters happening. So disaster management policies, and that too at international level. Okay, you can give a lot of examples here also. For example, INCOIS is one, tsunami early warning system that was developed by India for the Indian Ocean region is one example. And despite the challenges, this also presents an opportunity to transition towards a more sustainable and resilient future. So here, the problem, sea level rise is a negative problem, but you look at it as a positive, you look at the problem in a positive way, that yes, you can transition to a more resilient future. Here, when it comes to India, you can use this national action plan on climate change. Okay, you can use global alliance for mangroves. Okay, that was signed in COP 27 at Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. So all the national and international initiatives which help us deal, all the initiatives which are undertaken by UNFCCC also can be used in the concluding part. Okay, but these statements like this and this are going to be important, wherein you are trying to give solutions to the problems, right? So this is all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.